All right, so this episode of Aggie Up Podcast, we're going to cover the look back at the Air Force game. We're going to look forward a little bit more to the Boise State game this Saturday. We're going to also touch on some recruiting. That is our specialty. It seems like we always run out of time to talk about recruiting. Definitely go to ustateaggies.com. You can check out all the guys that Utah State's offered, that Utah State's recruiting, and new commits. Jared Green is the new commit. He's a defensive back from California, kind of the Sacramento area, and Coach Brown has definitely brought some different connections. I think it's been good to have him on the staff. Obviously, he and Shaver and Canales are kind of the guys to cover California. So I think that's gonna pay some, gonna turn out some good players for sure. And obviously Utah State's already got the commit from Jamal Evans, who actually was at the game on Saturday, and so that was good to see him. The guy is putting up huge numbers in high school, and he looks like he's getting bigger and stronger. He looks like a legitimate Division I athlete. I mean, the guy that I was with, I was actually with Dane, and he's like, "Oh man, that guy looks huge." He looks impressive. Just in street clothes, and I'm like, yeah, he plays quarterback. So that was pretty interesting, but had some good visitors to the game on Saturday. I thought could have been a little bit better. I wish there would have been more guys. Obviously, I think maybe they like to spread guys out a little bit, but there were some out-of-state guys there. I think they should always have as many people as Saturday night games, where you're playing Thursday and Friday games. Obviously, those are really hard games to get guys to. High school athletes to in-state guys even to get to those games. But Saturday night games, we should be able to get a ton of people. And it was a pretty good week for Utah State recruiting in general, with that commitment and everything. Anything that you've seen, Seth, you got to talk about?
No, not really.
I could just hurry and update everybody on the stats for their free commitments.
So moving on. I guess let me talk about this too. One thing that I want to touch on is basically the junior class at Lehigh. There's a kid named Dallin Holker who plays safety, kind of wide receiver / tight end, because they have a D1 tight end. They have Carson Terrell, and Carson Terrell just got an offer from UCLA. He's a really good tight end that Utah State's offered, and that they're recruiting. But the guy that I left that American Fork versus Lehigh game really impressed with was Dallin Holker, and they play him on defense at tight end, even though he's 6'4", I don't think he's 220. I think he's listed at 220. He's probably less than that, but he's 6'4". He has good range, good speed. I think he could be a tight end or outside linebacker in college. I really was impressed with him. He had a 75-yard touchdown reception. He had a lot of tackles. He was everywhere on defense. And it really had to be, because American Fork was kind of throwing the ball all over Lehigh. So I was really impressed with him. I like Will Overstreet from that team. I like Cade Moore, their wide receiver. Obviously, they've got Cameron Cooper, who's the best quarterback in the state, in my opinion, and he's only a junior. He's a left-handed quarterback that's getting recruited by a lot of different programs right now. I don't think Utah has offered him yet, but they've been recruiting him pretty hard. Utah State's offered him he's been offered by a few different schools. I think Boise State's starting to look at him a little bit closer as well. So that's it's definitely something to keep an eye on. They've got a couple young offensive linemen that could turn out to be really good players. They're worth keeping an eye on. So that team has a lot of juniors and not a lot of depth. So that's what kind of is hurting them in this year. When they go up against a team like American Fork that has quite a few seniors, has quite a bit of depth, has a pretty good quarterback in Bronson Barron. They have a tough time, against those teams. Another team that I really like to watch, I've watched almost every one of all of every game. I've missed part. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I've watched a lot of Alta. Matahola is a guy that's a legitimate outside linebacker prospect. He's, I think, and this may I don't know, who knows who will hear this, obviously, but I think he's got an offer from Utah State and BYU, and from what I hear, he likes Utah State better than BYU. So that could be something to watch. I think he's right up there with some of the other guys that are kind of defensive end, outside linebacker type guys. I haven't watched all of them. There's quite a few, different guys to watch. Like I say, you can go to UStateAggies.com, just put in the Utah, pull up the outside linebackers and defensive ends. There's some tight ends that you can look at as well. There's some really good talent in state. There's some guys that I'm excited to watch as well. There's a guy that plays for Highland, a guy who plays for Timpview, Corner Canyon. There's a few guys that are kind of going under the radar right now, but I think really could. You never know. Some of those guys could really turn out to be the best players out of the group. So I'll keep track of that. I'm gonna keeping my eye out for some of these guys. I love to go to these camps and games and kind of find the guys that are a little bit less known. A guy on Alta that I have to give a plug for is Josh Davis. He's a running back, an athlete, a return guy. He's does everything for Alta, and really, in my opinion, is just a really special, a really good high school player in the state of Utah, and really the only guy I can compare him to, maybe a little bit, is Britton Covey, even though they're completely different players. I just look at, off the field, Britton Covey didn't pass the eye test, right? But then when he was running around guys and making guys miss and scoring touchdowns, you thought, oh man, that guy's a stud. That guy's special. And it's kind of the same thing with Josh Davis. So definitely have to give him a shout out. Definitely have to mention him. The guy from Highland is Ismail Vaifu, and there's a guy in Corner Canyon, Cade Papunu. So some of those guys, I want to see in person and see what I think from there, and then we can kind of see what the Aggies are looking at. Hopefully, let's see. Hopefully the Aggies can. Hopefully the Aggies can start getting a lot more of these in-state guys. What do you guys think? I asked this question on Twitter a while back. But what percentage of the 25 signing class, or how many guys do you think Utah State should be signing from the state of Utah, or kind of local guys?
Like percentage out of 25, or just a number? I think I think.
You guys have an opinion?
Yeah, can you hear me, Isaac?
Can you hear me, Isaac?
We're having technical difficulties.
Brian, I can hear you.
I can hear you too, Seth. I can hear Isaac as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Well, Seth, go ahead. If
Oh, I was just saying, out of 25, I think a good number, for instance, and it's going to depend each year because a lot of Utah's getting a lot better at it, I think, with the specialty positions, I guess you can say, quote unquote. I'm talking receiver, running back, quarterback type things. But it depends each year. I think 8 to 10 at the high, I think. And it just depends on what year it is. There's like the 17. There's a lot of kids in Utah. I mean, last year there was a lot. I think there's even more talent this year. I haven't had a chance to really look at the 18 class yet.
18 class is loaded.
I just think 7 to 10. Right in there. 7 to 10 would be a good number. And some of those obviously are going to be sign and send kids too. So you got to put that in the equation. So, and just kind of going off of what you said, another player, he's out of Timpview, and everybody knows his last name is Van Leeuwen. He's had quite a big year, actually. And he's the younger brother of all the other, Van Leeuwens that have been up at Utah State. He's not as tall, I don't think. He's not as tall as the other ones, but he's faster, and he's got really good hands. I don't know if he's an offer type guy, right now, but I could see him, walking on or whatever and then contributing later on. But he's kind of fun. I've watched a couple of games that he's played in. He's kind of fun to watch as well. But going back to what you said, I think 7 to 9, 7 to 10, right in there.
Yeah, I think 10 is not a stretch because, like you were saying, of the 10, not all of them are going to come in and play that next year. Some of these really good Utah, state of Utah prospect guys are not mission guys. Josh Davis is not a mission guy. Cameron Cooper, the quarterback from Lehigh, is not a mission guy. There's a decent amount, and maybe they're more non-mission guys this year or in the next few years than normal. I don't know, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's a stretch at all to get 10 commitments per year. That would give you a few return missionaries. This year we've got, on average, what have we been averaging, Brian? You've been keeping track of it. Probably 4 or 5 missionaries, maybe, or lower than that. Do you think?
No, it'd have been roughly 3 to 5.
Right.
So we've got 3 coming back this year. They should be good to go in January. Preston Curtis out of East. He's a wide receiver. John Fakafua should finally be ready to go.
He's back. He's been back.
Listed as an athlete. Yeah, he's like the unicorn of a recruiting class years gone by. And he's also out of East. And then there's the East tight end, Joe Tukuafu. He should be back and ready to go in January as well. So those are the 3 that I've got listed as returning missionaries.
Yep. And there could be somebody from the other class, the class, the signing class after, because that class kind of the Tukuafu, Curtis class. Some of the guys that are on the team right now were in that signing class, right? Yep. And so they just came back, left a little bit earlier, came back a little bit earlier. Obviously, we got Mo Wasike, who's playing right now. That's straight off his mission. They're
at Gachkowski, Eric Hastings,
right?
Dimitri Kalifua.
Who didn't serve a 2-year mission, but yeah.
But yeah, they were all in that same recruiting class. So,
yep. Yeah, those guys were all in that same one. Unga and Ali Fua didn't serve 2-year missions. They